Here are the 10 most common PvP mistakes. Number 1. Not moving while fighting. You should never stand still in combat or you'll be an easy target. You should be running around the ship at all times unless you're shooting. It's usually best to stay on the top deck so you have more space to juke, run, parkour, or even jump off the ship if needed. This is not Rainbow Six Siege. If you stand still to hold an angle, you're gonna instantly get hit with a blunderbuss or sword. Number 2. Not eating while fighting. The PvP in this game is more similar to Minecraft than Call of Duty in terms of how you heal. You should be eating every time you take damage or else you'll die very quickly. Running away and eating constantly during PvP will make you seem invincible to your enemies. And don't bring bananas to a pineapple fight. You need good food to beat good opponents. Number 3. Only using one weapon. You don't have one primary weapon and one secondary weapon. Rather, you have 2 primaries. You should be using each weapon equally. Shoot one and then switch to the other to finish off your opponent quickly. This mistake is most common in blunderbuss and sword users who just chase you down without thinking, and don't switch to their other weapon even when they're out of range. Your enemy will quickly notice your playstyle and react to it to counter you. Use 2 weapons to make it harder for your enemy to anticipate what you're gonna do, and you'll achieve a faster time to kill. Number 4. Not keeping an eye on the horizon. Your ship should never be getting surprise attacked. Every few minutes, you should be pulling out your spyglass and scanning the horizon for ships. If you're paying attention to your surroundings, then you should have several minutes advance notice before anyone pulls up on you. It's also a good idea to check the map table for Reaper crews in your area. Number 5. Sailing straight into your opponent's broadside is a mistake. Sail parallel to the enemy ship or circle them. Do not sail perpendicular to them. Ideally, your opponent does not have an angle on you, but you have one on them. Remember that naval fights are just as much about the wheel as they are about the cannon. Number 6. Not knowing when to reset the fight. New players struggle with understanding when it's time to exit battle and repair your ship. Noobs will treat every single broadside like it has to be their final stand, instead of realizing they can just reset the fight. It's important to realize that during a naval battle, you won't have time to patch all your holes below deck. Instead, you should be focused on the battle at hand, and you should mainly be bailing buckets of water instead of actually patching holes. So how do you know when it's time to reset the fight? The answer is that you reset the fight when you start filling up with water too quickly to comfortably bail alone. This is when it's time to turn the wheel away from the enemy ship so you can escape and patch your holes. Always prioritize patching the largest lower deck holes first because these fill with water the fastest. You also want to double check that your wheel and mast are both at full health before you return to combat. However, I should warn you that the instant you start to run away is usually when your enemy will either try to board you or chain shot your mast. This is because they know you're weak and distracted. I should also warn you that when you reset the fight, you're also resetting the fight for your enemy as well. Sometimes I hesitate to restart a fight because it feels like I've invested too much supplies to simply start the battle over again. But just remember that it's always better to waste some supplies than to sink and lose all of it. Number 7. Not putting pressure on your enemy as soon as you have their mast down. You only have seconds to take advantage when the enemy mast falls. Don't let your chain shots go to waste. You immediately need to either board the enemy and anchor them, or start death spiraling them. The goal is to stop them from repairing and moving their ship again. You can use cannonballs or blunderbombs to hit the player who is trying to raise their mast. If you don't put pressure on immediately, then your enemy will be fixed and moving again in less than 20 seconds. Number 8. Trying for too many boards. Don't be a bad teammate who's never on the ship. Boarding only makes sense if you're trying to stop an enemy from running away, or if your opponent is already badly damaged. If you're just boarding an enemy ship for no reason, then you're just making the naval fight harder for your teammates. Wait until the right moment to board. Number 9. Not stocking up on supplies first. It doesn't matter how good you are, you need cannonballs and planks to win a fight, and they will run out much quicker than you think. If you're fighting very sweaty opponents, then you're also going to need chain shot and high tier food. There's nothing worse than running out of food, cannonballs, or planks when you're about to beat a crew. And number 10, the last mistake is expecting to win fights against larger crews, especially if you're playing solo and especially if you're new. Picking fights with larger crews is only a fun challenge if you're experienced and know what you're doing, but even the best player will still be at a major disadvantage against a bigger crew. My main concern is new players feeling discouraged because they can't 1v2 or 2v4. If you're new, you're gonna get spam boarded and spawn trapped very quickly, and you're gonna have a bad time if the other crew knows what they're doing. you should master the basics of PvP before you try to fight a bigger crew. And that's the 10 most common PvP mistakes I see new players make. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, Captain Squiddy.